Hello, good morning, students. Today, one of the important were short answer questions, 4 marks questions for the board of intermediate point of view. The chapter is laws of motion. In this subchapter is friction. So, first of all, we discuss about these 4 marks questions. So, why are shock absorbers used in motorcycles and cars? Explain. That is the question. For this, the answer will be when the vehicle moves over an uneven road, it receives a jerk so that vehicle receives the impulsive force. To minimize this impact, shock absorbers are used. That means, according to the definition of impulse, which is the product of force and time, so force and time are inversely proportional to each other. That means force is more, you have to time will be less. Time is more, force will be less. So that means force and time are inversely proportional to each other. So in the similar manner, shock absorbers, what it will do? So it will be moving high with a high force, so that it will reduces the it will increase the time of action, so that the force will be reduced. So that means the shock absorbers increase the time of jerk, thereby reduce the impulsive force. This minimizes the damage of the vehicles. Simple answer for that. So we see we see examples for this will be, if you see a ad in the TV, bike ad, I think that may be the Pulsar or Passion bike, the ad will be there. So when it is moving in the up and downs, it will move smoothly. That means when it is when in front of when a vehicle is moving on the road in front of for example a depth will be comes in front of this, then what happens, it will goes down and then coming up. That means here large force over there. So to reduce the time to reduce this force, have to increase the time of action. That means action time will be increases, so that it will be balanced. The person on the bike will not fall down. So there is a best example for this. So explain. Next question. Explain the terms limiting friction, dynamic friction, and rolling friction. So limiting friction means, say for example, if you take a inclined plane, or say for example this is a plane. Okay, if I am putting a pen here like this, that means it does not move. That means the force existing between these two, this area of contact, so the force existing between these two surfaces, which we can call as the friction. Okay, now what do you mean by limiting friction? So when the body tends to move on the surface, the maximum value of statistical frictional force present in between the two surfaces in contact is called limiting friction. That means, say for example, if it is a slope, that means automatically it will move like this. So for example, here I am putting this ball, I am pen here. Now presently it does not move. So if you increase the inclination at a particular point, it will ready to move. At that point, static friction will be the maximum. That at that moment, the friction you can call as the limiting friction. Got it? So when the body is in motion, say for example it is sliding like this, then the friction between these two surfaces is kinetic or dynamic friction. Say for example if it is rolling like this, so rolling, then the friction between these two bodies is nothing but two surfaces, nothing but the rolling friction. That is the definitions. So in words you can write like this. Dynamic friction, when one body slides over another body, the friction force present between the two surfaces in contact is called the dynamic friction. Or simply you can say the resistance offered by the body when it is in motion, that is called dynamic friction. Rolling friction, when the body rolls over another surface, the frictional force present between the two surfaces in contact is called rolling friction. Or else you can say when the resistance offered by the body, rolling body, is nothing but the rolling friction. Simply you can say. So these are the types of frictions. For this next question, one of the important question here, that is simple question. Explain the advantage and disadvantage of the friction. So advantage, as you know, you can simply holding the pen in between the fingers. This is due to the friction. Or you can hold an object fingers. Okay, that is the first one. Safely walking on the floor is possible due to the friction between the floor and the feet. Next, nails and screws are fitted in the walls or wooden surfaces, that is due to the friction. Okay, a matchstick is lightened because of friction. That is also advantage of the friction. These are. So what are the disadvantages of the friction? Any two you have to write for the point of view for 4 marks question. Disadvantage means due to the friction, wear and tear of machines will be increases. Heat generated due to the friction decreases the efficiency of the engine. Friction results the large amount of power loss in the engines. So wear and tear means by using the usage of the, say for example, if a fan is used for a long time, automatically its lifespan will be decreases. That is a example for this one. Wear and tear of the machine occurs. So unwanted. So when the fan is rotating for a long time, heat will be produced. That is unwanted heat will be produced. So that its efficiency will be decreases. So that is about the advantage and disadvantage of friction. Next will be the one of the important question. That is methods to reduce the friction or decrease the friction, whatever it may be. So 4 methods are there. One is polishing, ball bearing, lubricants and streamlining. So first one, polishing. When the surface are polished, irregularities of the surface are minimized. Thereby friction decreases. So by polishing, here if you want to learn more about this polishing, so 2 methods are there. One is moderately polished, another is heavily polished. So if the body is moderately polished, friction will be decreases. If it is heavily polished, friction will be increases. What do you think? That is in the reverse. Okay. Next, ball bearings. So ball bearings means a hard steel balls called ball bearings placed between the 2 moving parts, converting sliding friction into the rolling friction. So ball bearings which are used in the fans for rotating point of view, for bicycle or motor vehicles, in between the axle, the balls will be present, which we can call as the ball bearings, which are used to reduce the friction. Next with the lubricants. Lubricants like oil, grease, which spreads over the surface and fills the irregularities of the surface, thereby the friction will be reduced. Lubricants means, for example, if your ring is inserted between the fingers, then if you want to take out the ring from the fingers, if it is tightly fixed, then you have to use some lubricants like soap, water, or some oil, which by using that you can easily take up the ring from the finger. So that's why we can use the lubricants like grease, which are reduces the friction. Next, streamlining. Streamlining means by making front portion of the vehicles in a curved shape, friction due to the air can be reduced. So the best example for this will be aeroplane is there na? Aeroplane or fighter jet planes, the shape will be like this the shape. So like this shape, it will reduces the drag of the air friction. So streamlining means it reduces the air friction. The best example for that, reducing the air friction. Say for example, if you want to know this about this, if you use 2 vehicles I am considering, one is Maruti van and another is Maruti some Alto, some other vehicles. So if you observe that front portion of the Maruti van will be like this shape, whereas a Maruti Alto like this, for that will be the shape will be like this. That's why if you observe these 2 vehicles, Maruti van will move slowly comparing with the Maruti Alto. Why? Because in this Alto case, the shape will be like this, which reduces the air friction, so that it will move very fast comparing with the Maruti van. That is the best example you can say. Next, one of the important question will be state the laws of rolling friction. Yeah, 3 laws are given, very important. First law, the rolling friction is directly proportional to the normal reaction. That means Fr is directly proportional to the normal reaction, Nr, capital R, whatever it may be. Next point, rolling friction depends upon the area of contact. So area of contact, it depends on the area of contact also. Point number 3 will be rolling friction depends upon radius of the rolling body. So it is also depending on the radius of the rolling body also. Okay, that is the best 3 laws of friction. Okay, next question will be pulling of a lawn roller is preferred than pushing. Why? Okay, we can explain in detail.